Longest
And then
game.
after that, it's like I guess it's more like still in the longest game. I get like at some point you just have to acknowledge the infinity of it or something. I don't
Yeah.
know. If the signal gets weak, make sure you tell me because it's crappy, and I'll try to switch to my data on my phone, which sometimes works better.
Okay. That
It's
seems
been,
okay so far.
yeah, it seems to be fickle. Like sometimes it works fine for 10, 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden, yeah. So anyway, we'll see. Just let me know, please.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for saying fickle. It's a great word.
It is a nice word. Also rhymes with pickle, which is a great word. Also
Yeah.
rhymes with sickle, which is an interesting word.
And tickle. Tickle.
And tickle, which makes you laugh. Yeah, yeah, tickle.
Yeah.
And
Tickling.
nickel, right?
Nickel. Yeah. Well, we can keep going to get them all. I think that's it.
I think that's it as far as the alphabet. Yeah, nickel, nickel, tickle, pickle, lickle, rickle, sickle, tickle, vixel, wickle, bickle,
Cool.
dickle, sickle, fickle, jickle. Jickle. Let's just create a new word while we're here. We're in the game.
Cyclical.
Uh,
Yeah.
Yes. Jickle. What a strange word it would be. Jickle.
A jickle. It feels like time based. Just give me a jickle. Right. So jickle. Just a jickle at a time. Yeah. Two jickles. What's what's going on in your world?
uh,
Oh,
um, it's breaking up for me. Hold on one sec. Let me
right.
get this out of the way.
Yeah.
Just do this. All right, let's see if
All
it's
right.
any better for me. How am I?
Is this the joys of EE, Vodafone, GIFGAF?
You know, I think it's actually Smarty here in the UK, so I'm not sure which
So,
network they use. Um,
no idea.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So let's see. Since we last spoke, um, yeah,
Yes.
I'm going through. I'm smack in the middle of where we were last time. And there's like in terms of my relationship with Andrea, and I'm living with her. Like I said, it's literally like an alcoholic living in a bar. Like it's like trying to like like use the actual situation to face the thing, and I'm not sure it's even the smartest thing to do.
Mhm.
You know, like, but I'm in it. And it is definitely alchemical. Like we're really, gonna get to the truth of who and what we are to each other, like in a cosmic way to our own lives and then to each other. And it's I think we're attracted to that clearly. Like we have some kind of chemistry, like attraction, partnership on this alchemical level, and then there's just this kind of sad thing that happened where she doesn't feel the same about me as I do her, like in an old fashioned, like with the arousal and it's just like if that one little, like if it could be other way, we'd literally be like the dream I've always, it's something. So I'm learning something about like dream, like what you think are dreams, and are even learning to question even the last things I need to question, even like for me, like what is love, like things that I take for granted maybe, or I had a painting of, and then life gives you the feedback, and then you're like, well, then is this really what I think, and what do I think, and what do I want, and all that stuff. So yeah, same as it was last time. I'm in the thick of it, uh, and the positive sense between people that have a similar understanding. Like I'm doing better than I could be. Like I'm doing better. Like I'm okay. Like you know, in my past I've fallen apart in situations like this, and I have that level of hurt. Like you know, the part of me that wants to just give up and quit, and this is the last sign from the universe, you know, that things aren't going to work out for me. Like I can never, like that's what like that's alive for me, like those kind of thoughts and feelings and doubt and things like that. And at the same time I'm clearly able seeing the door like opening where the other one's closing, and some other nice stuff has happened, like which I'll share about. So yeah, so I'm rolling with that, like we were last time, and happy to see you again and to see what we get into today. How about you? What's your life been like?
I I never used to think about my age. I was just
Mm.
always living, and now I feel, I'm 52. I keep saying, I keep hearing myself saying I'm 52, and I don't have the safety net. I don't have a parents. I don't have a house to go to if things don't work out. I don't have, I've got money, but I haven't bought assets, so it's not like keep working for 10, 15 more years and I'll have a house and then a retirement. And I don't think that that's what artists do anyway. We don't really have jobs. We just live until we die. You keep going until you die. So I don't know really what that looks like long term. So that sort of mortality is now with me. It never was even last year. And maybe it's more that my son, I can feel, we went camping together at the weekend there, and it was lovely, and it was lovely and awful and struggle and difficult and beautiful all at the same time. This being that I love intensely is just, he's growing up, he's becoming a little guy, he's becoming a sort of miniature man, and his attitude and how he behaves with other people and what he says, and it's just, I find it fascinating. And the responsibility of being a dad, which now feels way more than it used to. And actually, I'm recording this, and she probably wouldn't like it, but who knows? But in a way, with Susanna, his mother, I've known her 14 years, and we haven't really got to that, as you're talking about, that granularity of understanding who we are to each other, and we both need to support each other, like be a team, and we can do better. And she's struggling a bit, I'm struggling, so it's like, how do we do that better? How do we go beyond all the past and forget all the stuff that happened and say, okay, we're mature adults, there's a boy that needs us, how do we do this better? So that's all in motion again. So yeah, that feels like I'll finish with this now, then pass back to you, is that at certain times in my life, I've known that I need to do something that might seem drastic or difficult or risky. So I'm doing that now, and I'm combining this thunderstorm of Spanish bureaucracies importing my car, which is just obscenely complex and requires calmness. So I'm doing that at the moment, and then with this relationship, how do we do that better? That all at once. This is just, it's shoving me into a different state and mode, which I don't. It's uncomfortable. Yeah, that's that sort of persistent discomfort. Getting used to that, which I guess you're also mentioning. It's that being in it. It's not comfortable, but it's survivable. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like the saying, "The way out is through," or whatever. Um,
Yeah. What does that mean? The way out is through.
uh, it would mean in this case, like, if I don't sit in the thick of the thing, which in this case is showing up as failed marriage in my mind story, like, and all these other things. It's like the breathing thing that we were talking about. Like, it must be, if I take the universe seriously, like as some kind of living and loving reflection or being or whatever it is, it's like everyone's crossed the bear is the moment that they're in. Like everything they've done and said and lived, and karma, lineage, whatever you want to call it, or randomness or synchronicity, means like in the game of now, like there must be your circumstances for a reason. Like, and if you don't, like, if you have some kind of like dislike for them or discomfort or fear or whatever, like, some, if it's not just all good really, and like this is groovy, then it's like, why? What's in the way of that? And even if it's a legitimate or not legitimate, at least you're facing the very thing that is in the way, in a sense, because everyone likes to be groovy, I think, in their own way. I mean, I think it means different things to different people, but like I don't know any person that wouldn't want to really be in a groovy flow state, like doing what they love to do and loving it up with people in the community and whatever version of that is for people. Like feeling pretty good physically, let's say, not perfect health, but just not having to like over focus on like anything like lacking in the sense. Like what most of us wouldn't even know what that is like, really. Even wealthy people wouldn't even know what that's like, because then they have other restrictions and limitations, right? And fears that people like me who didn't have a lot don't have a lot of money always project and think, well, if I had a lot of money, everything would be happy, and then I could do this and that, right? Like, it doesn't work like that. We all have our circumstances. So I think that's what I meant. It's just like whatever is in the way is the way. Like, it's going
Yeah,
back to the breathing thing, and like for me, the masturbation and the drugs and the this, and like I'm always not able to be in the game of now. Like, I'm always in the game of I wish it was like this. I'm always playing the game of wouldn't it be nice if it was like that. Like the game of this is pretty cool, but like so I'm rarely in the game of now. So to bring it back to your
I mean,
lexicon.
I'm thanks for the through and out. I mean, I'm yeah, in a way there is no out, because
Hmm.
it's like uh, I'm very aware of the past. In fact, not maybe when we last spoke, I have this very strange feeling here around my throat that's been hanging around for weeks. It's just a gentle pressure, as if I'm not saying something, or I'm not, or I'm having to hold things back, or I don't know. But I'm exploring because it's persistent.
Hmm.
And there's a part of my voice says, go get checked for throat cancer because you're 52. Fucking hell. All right, we'll do it. I'll follow that voice. We'll get it done. And then there's this sense of, no, it's a very, when I hum into it, it's very much wanting to find a way to say something that I don't know what I'm wanted to say, really. But I said things to a friend last night which were very strong, and he was shocked. And then I said a few things to other people, were just very strong, and they were shocked. And it's like how to say these things and be clear and true, and say, okay, that loosened a bit. So yeah, um, yeah, and I'd put it out there, see if something comes out in this call. I'm very attentive to it if it releases, so you can
Hmm.
nudge me in that direction.
I had a perhaps similar, but at least adjacent uh, reflection about my jaw. So how much stress I have, how much tension I have in my jaw and my cheeks. More, it's mostly here, like cheeks and jaw
Mhm.
generally. And I also in my life have I actually had all of my teeth. These are fake. These are
Wow.
all fake teeth. I literally had two implants on the top and bottom put on, and then they put like prosthetics in, rather than take out at the age of like 43 or something. Like it's not good. Like literally my teeth got destroyed. You could say from psychiatric medicines for 10 years and smoking cigarettes and tons of sugar, and like it was a perfect storm with those three things, especially the psychiatrics, because a lot of people smoke cigarettes and drink sugar and don't have what happened to them. So like um then you can look at it like from Chinese medicine perspective, where the energy's got, right? Like there's kind of whatever way you might want to look at that. And then the other night I was realizing, or at least contemplating, this sense of that I must be chewing on my thoughts so much, like grinding my teeth, for lack of a better word. Like, like I was wondering, like, I'm holding so much, like, like you're saying, like things I want to say. Sometimes as an asshole, like a George Carlin, like asshole. Sometimes it's more like speaking my truth in general. Like sometimes it's like, now I've realized it's more speaking my truth and maybe about who I am sexually and all this stuff, whatever it is. Like, and I think this like supercomputer that you probably have, like the gift I have for processing all of these different analogies, and that makes me like a genius on that word level or whatever, also kind of haunts me. I think it's like I'm always chewing on things, like I'm always thinking, like, and I was thinking about how like it's both, and like it's both things I'm not saying and speaking up, and just literally this obsessive compulsive chatter I have going on. And I'm thinking like at night and when I'm hanging around, like all of that is probably, not
If you don't
coincidentally
actually,
stored.
if you don't actually speak it out, it sort of just goes round and round, and it sort of clogs the
Yeah,
system.
like rehearsing and all
Yeah.
this, like it's kind of my kryptonite in terms of the neurodiversity and the depression side. Like because therefore if I'm negative or if I'm depressed, it gets amplified times a million with this underlying superpower I have to like just think. Like my mind's racing, like over here, right? Like over there, like da da da, like not even always like in a negative way, just even with my imagination capabilities. Like I'm always so yeah, I've been trying to understand, like when I lay down and meditate, like I can feel quite relaxed in like a lot of parts of my body, and then it always comes back to like here. Yeah, for sure.
Hmm. Have you always been like that then? As far as you remember, the racing mind, the imagination, the
um I don't remember being that way when I was like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I feel like if I was being more biological, I might say puberty. And then like a couple incidents or things that happened that I can maybe easily look at and say, like, that was an existentially type of, thing that maybe took me on a route of being more reflective. And then I must have some natural, but I don't actually remember. I was quite like, what I've realized is, the sense that we don't always get an identity till we're 6, 7, 8 or whatever, like, that whole process, that, the human development process. Like recently I've been thinking like, I think I was quite not having the sense of otherness for quite a long time, like even till I was 7, 8 or 9, even though I was going to school and like, watching television. I think I was highly in a cocoon of like, this is amazing, like who knows what's, like I wasn't really being metacognitive, if you know what I mean. Like when I look back, like I wasn't an unsensitive, or so when you ask me, it's like I was a sensitive, the same guy you might be talking to now was definitely in there, but the expression of it, yeah, is nothing like my adult version. Like, so it's something to even think more about now that you now that you've sparked that answer, because it's a massive, I don't even know what the right word is, difference. Rather, I don't even know if I need to say incongruity or disparity or anything, but it's a massive difference. Like what I can get in touch with my 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old self. Like I can feel the same heart and the same innocence and love of my friends and all this good stuff. But yeah, the metacognitive, like what's life or who am I or what's going to happen to me or that I'm separate in a way, that took quite a while for me. Like probably like the first time I had a heartbreak or something, even with a girl, to be honest, rather than like parents. Like my parents were okay. Like now that I look back, I realized they gave me so much freedom that they were actually detached and I didn't get the love, like the type of love and like role modeling that maybe really would have helped me bloom at an earlier age and like be more resilient as an adult, like all those things like I didn't really have, maybe coming full circle to some of our conversations about men and role models and whatever. Like my parents were nice enough, but they gave me so much freedom. I realized that I was literally on my own trying to understand all the thoughts and feelings I had no one
Mm.
like other than my friends, like my peers. Like I didn't have an older brother of a friend. I didn't have another guy's dad. Like I didn't have any sense of like guidance or principles or ethics or code of like I just got them from watching my parents. And since they were pretty decent and didn't like abuse me in a positive, you know, in an easy way to name, like there was no friction there. But I really didn't get, yeah, like the kind of nourishment, like I guess that a sensitive soul would. And I didn't see myself that way. I didn't really see myself. I never really thought about myself until like I got older. Like Andrew was saying, like, and I was so considered so good looking and smart that I never had any resistance. So unfortunately, on the outside, people were jealous of me, like thinking, oh, he gets all the girls, and everyone thinks he's good looking, and he's good looking. Like, but really, like it kind of taught me like very little in a way. Like I didn't learn how to be like Andrew's like, don't you remember a time when you overcame something, you know? And like I was like, no, I've never had confidence. I've never had real confidence based on who I am and what I can do, because all my early confidence was just a reactivity, like the ease of again being good looking, a white middle class, and smart and nice. By the way, like I was very friendly, considering I could have taken advantage of that. Let's say so. I have a mixed feelings about that version of me, but yeah, I didn't have a strong sense of self beyond I'm here and life is great. Like, so yeah.
Well,
So,
something you said that, like when I was a teenager. So because I'm trying to write the Game of Now book, and I've got a structure, and I'm writing pieces about the
mhm.
mythology of it. So when I was younger, I was remembering things that I never think about much. So my first sort of mystical experience was when I was 12, when I was convinced that I changed the weather, and that it just was a thing because I was brought up very religious, and to fear God and to go to church every Sunday. My dad was very strict religiously, and we went every Sunday, and my parents were very involved in the church. And I remember daring
Mm.
not to pray one night, seeing if I would die. Just the terror of if I don't pray, which seems absurd, but when you're like a kid and it's all
Yeah.
you've ever, and then that started to unlock things, and when I was winning prizes at school, we got books, and I remember getting my mates were getting books on like comics or war or things like that, fighting, and I was getting books on telepathy and self hypnosis, and so there were what yes, okay, here you go. um Alice Bailey, telepathy, Lucis Trust. My God, I mean, what's that about? And I remember being like that, and so I didn't have many friends, who I could. So this thing about working out yourself, my parents didn't give me any clues. They didn't anything apart from the Bible. And then I had one fantastic meeting with the minister when I had glandular fever, and the minister came around, and we spent hours together. And when I was in my early 20s, and we went deep into his conversion into a minister, and he says, I much prefer this conversation, Graham, than I have with everybody else, because everyone else just says yes, 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 Mr. Simpson, but you're challenging everything that I stand for. and it was great. And he was an amazing man. So I think that that whole sense of I look at myself now, I look at what I came from, and then the first line of the book really is that, you know, and it's true. In 1996 in Australia, I disappeared into light. So I've had that experience. It happened. I experienced it. I've got no idea what it meant or how to even describe it. I just say that happened. Something happened. But it's clearly now, as I start to write about it and expand into who I am now, that was such a significant part of my life that it's like realizing I really just want to do that again and not come back. You know, to come back from that state and bliss and love, and then go, oh, this again. What are we going to do with this? So it's, yeah, I'm in a very existential phase right now, as in like, what am I doing now? What's going on? Yeah.
It struck me when you were talking before. I kind of had noted it, but then I was trying to stay present, and then I forgot, and now I just was reminded for some reason. Something you said before that was important to me and interesting was when you were describing interacting with your kid, like, because I don't have any kids. I don't understand, I don't like kids generally, like just in terms of like, I'm so self-obsessed and like narcissistic in that way. Like, and like, I'm purposefully didn't become a dad, like, because I never felt like I was ready or capable. Not that you can't have it and then everything changes. So I'm good for that. But for me, I'm happy because I was never felt like was ready for that. But when you were sharing, like, I was thinking, yeah, like, what would if I was William, like, what would I tell my kid, like, about life or how to approach thing, right? Or how to be happy or whatever. Like, I was like thinking for a split second, it all occurred to me, like, what you're, you would be thinking about and facing. Like, what do you tell another human being that you love in that way, that you care about in that way, but you also want them to have their own experience and not necessarily carry anything from you, but you have something to offer at the same time, and you're their guardian more than their owner because you're smart enough to know that you're not one of those asshole parents that like thinks their kid is a little fucking pet that they have so that they can be happier and fill all their voids. Like, as hard as that may be, I'm sure you're not look at your kid like that. Like, he's still a soul and he's got his own path to walk. And like, what's your role? I would think you would think, like, how do I pass? What do I? And I was, for a second, I was like, oh, this must be what I'm actually going through, because I don't know what I would say. So I can empathize with you in a way that maybe I wanted to share. Not that you don't know what to say, but I can also imagine feeling like I don't even know like what I want to say to this person other than I love you. Like, you know, be honest with me. I'm here for you. I love you. Like, please, I hope you can feel free to talk to me and as you go through your life, whatever. I don't know what words of wisdom I would have otherwise,
Yeah.
like what maxims or code, or like I don't think I know for myself. Like, I don't think I know for myself. And it made me realize that. And then also the intensity of that, like, of what of so I was hoping you might share one more thing about the weekend with your kid, or like what is hard about it, or what is it like, or just one little piece of something to give me an understanding of
So
what it's
like,
like to be you, like with the,
yeah, there's something very incredibly tender about lying in a tent next to him, you know, and he's
yeah.
sleeping. I'm awake and I just see him sleep. There's something very tender about that, and his entire dependency on me. Like, if I just got out the tent, got in the car, and drove away, he can't do anything. And then he didn't want to leave the campsite. He didn't want to go into the tent. He was in this world called a campsite, which had its own supermarket, swimming pool, people. It was thunder and lightning. He didn't want to go anywhere. And then he always surprises me. In fact, he would say, "Daddy, not always." That's one of his things. He says, "There's never such thing as always or rarely, rarely, rarely." He's very good at not always. Yep, sorry. He got a ball and he says, "I want to give this ball to the dog of the next door neighbors in our tent area. So you want to give this dog a gift?" Like, I wouldn't think of that. I wouldn't say I'm going to get this ball and get, but he did, and he then, and the family were
Yeah.
very moved. That Guillaume went, hey, this is for this, it's for you, for the dog. Um, and he's just very yeah, he said some very wise things, and I treat him as a being that has a different spiritual understanding than me. Maybe he knows more about many things than I do, so I'm open all the time when he starts to channel, which he does sometimes, or he says things which are just like when he was a kid and I said I love you, and he said I love you, and I said, do you know what love means? And he said, I don't know what means. And I said, well, that means you do know what it means if you say I don't know what means. And he just looked at me. He just looked at me. He was like 5, 6 something. And it's like, wow. Yeah, that's the, I mean, for me, the fear of him becoming like his dad, who at this age is not the normal dad. I'm not secure. I'm not reliable in many ways. I'm not the kind of, the middle management guy who's got a mortgage and got it all sorted. I'm not saying that that's the ideal way, but he's seeing a very different kind of dad who's come and gone, who left, who came back, who blew up, who was trying to be honest with them all the times. And he said, Dad, sorry son, I can't be with your mum. Can't do it. Can't do it. I've got to go. Tears my heart, but I can't stay here. And no, he's been through. So yeah. I've got a friend who set up a therapy account for his kids when they were born that they'll get when they're 20. But I don't know. I just think that he's strong. He'll be all right. His mother's very strong. And we'll see what
Yeah, I
combinations.
mean, yeah, it sounds like you've just done your best, like, and you have a relationship with him. So also, as he gets older, he'll have more context, and then you can share more. It's not like, again, it's not excusing, it's just describing, it's relating. So you can say to him when he's a little bit older, like, remember that time when this happened, like, here's how I was feeling. Like, you can just, so he can empathize, like, when he gets to different ages, I guess, right? Like, he'll be able to empathize differently. And as long as you have that, like, communication channel open to some degree, like, you have a relationship with him, like, you keep it tender, like you're saying, like, over time too, he'll also realize his dad was another human.
And in the previous call, I don't know if we said that, he suddenly said over there, Daddy, what happens when I die? And I have no consciousness. And he used the word consciousness. I don't know where he got that from, but that was his. And he said, I'm scared. So he got scared.
Yeah.
So he's just experienced his mortality.
Mm.
And he's only 11, and that will grow. And so I'm watching now any moment where he phases out and he's like looking at it and you all right? You okay? And it's like and then I've got some friends who've got friends who either have died recently or whatever, and now I'm feeling, God, I'm in that. I project myself into my death. Like, okay, have I done everything that I came to do? Probably not. Yeah, that's for sure. I haven't solved some of my patterns. And how's all your your Cynthia times all your work? Where are you at with it now?
Um, I gotta. I'm I'm still using the Symphony Times. It's still a little bit. It's kind of a playground still. Like, I haven't had the urge or made the choice to, like, turn it into something what other people would call, strategic, or whatever you want to call it, like, or use it differently other than of an avenue for me to express myself in ways that I like without thinking about audiences necessarily or whatever. So I've really liked some of the stuff I've written, more importantly. Like the last 4 or 5 articles, like the territory I'm getting into is rich for me. So I'm enjoying, so it's going well, like in that way. Like it has become my place that I do. I have this place to express some ideas I get from conversations like this or working on creativity, whatever. Um, and then like ecosystem wise or like creatively, like, and basically I'm thinking about, I basically got a little paying gig with a friend who's got a company who's trying to build like a spiritual social media kind of thing. And I created my own job title and stuff, which was a breakthrough. Like I'm literally getting paid to pretty much be myself. Like nothing is perfect and right for me until I get the full like spiritual philanthropy thing going. And I'm literally like, there's no transaction, but this is as close as I've gotten like on my path to at least holding space for that. That's my actual mission. Like I want to create this new world that literally, and I have to be the first one then to live that way. Fine, like that's the mission. Then the mission's for me to manifest a patron that will support me and then give me 1 million and then 1 billion, whatever. Like that's my mission to be on. So but it's a really cool gig. Like it's a small team of just 4 people, three with, I mean, me and 3 others, and like it's a good environment, and like I'm getting supported to show up as myself with this preposterous doing like R&D and like coaching the founder basically read one of my Substack articles. The reason it's connected is he read one of my Substack articles where I talked about a new kind of company called the for profit, Prophet, which was part of my company, Fullofit Industries. So full, I made basically I created a world. So I'm playing a game in my Substack. I created a world. There's R. Bret Fullofit, who's Walt Disney meets Bucky Fuller meets Ramana Maharishi meets the greatest philanthropist that ever lived. Right? He's R. Bret Fullofit. He runs Fullofit Industries instead of Wayne Industries. He's got Synergy Works instead of a Bat Cave, and Synergy Works is like a skunk works in the old-fashioned world, and it's a for-profit company, and its business model is evolutionary spiritual philanthropy. Like I've basically created all these game mechanics, and I've also done it honestly, William, based on my research over the 15 years that we've known each other. And you say, like, what am I into? Like, what am I trying to do? Really, like I'm trying to single-handedly reinvent civilization, play play my role in what I believe is necessary, which is like if I'm going to be on the planet, I might as well be part of like positive some stuff. Like, and I'd rather see the civilization in the image of what I want to experience of like love and fun and creativity and using our genius to all love each other and have a good time and create the Venus Project, blah blah blah. so so I got to, so basically he's now literally puts in his pitch deck, and he's funded. He already had 500,000 from Synchronicity from some venture capitalists that are his family friends. So he's got money to try to build an MVP of what he's seeing for this social media thing. So he calls this thing a profit company. So basically, and then my job the title is head of Synergy Works. So basically, I was trying to get the Substack to be what I called hyperstitious, which is basically something that becomes real because you believe it enough. Like create your own reality stuff. It's a word from the 1990s, hyperstition, out of cybernetics and
Mm-hmm.
like graphic novel talk and chaos magic and all that. So hyperstition is what I created, hyperstitious linguistic programming. That's my game of now. So the Symphony Times is sort of my playing board for my version of a game of now, and hyperstitious linguistic programming is sort of the OS, you could say. And then I tried doing that. So I've got some guy who started a for-profit company in a sense who hired me to be head of Synergy Works at that company. So I'm maybe crossing the bridge a little, like into being more aligned. Ultimately, just what we always say, all of us, just being more aligned with we are in our soul's destiny, blah blah blah, and have a little bit more like fun and flow. So the Symphony Times has been my grounds to do my magic and play with my magic, like you writing different versions of your book and all that. It was my platform. It's my film at the moment. It's the one place that is my actual artwork.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've had some nice feedback over years. And then the last thing is I'm looking at kind of reimagining and rebranding it a little bit with Andrea, where the Symphony Times is, but which is what it kind of meant to be, was like the newspaper of the next paradigm, of the cutting edge, like the news before it happens. And I'm basically covering people, not projects, because I'm into like people, and the philanthropy is this with people, not projects. Like I don't care if people use the money I give them for their projects, but I'm not here to evaluate. That's my whole business thing with philanthropy. I'm not here to evaluate your genius based on KPIs and the market value and who it's going to serve. Like if it's what you're excited to do, and the planet has AI and all these resources, like we don't have a problem of enough on this planet. We have a problem of imagination. We have a scarcity of imagination and a scarcity of love, not products, goods, and services, or money, or ideas, or anything like that, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to look to potentially see if I can make the Symphony Times also like a partnership thing, like where I
Right.
get the guy, you know, who's hired me over here, and like Andrea's project, and I kind of cover like the newspaper, and we're all co-author, whatever that is. I don't have the full story there, but I think I want to shift to like, it's like a clearinghouse for the most cutting edge people like me who I actually believe in, and that's who I invest in, by the way, as an evolutionary and spiritual philanthropist. Like these are the people. This is my portfolio, is one way I could say, like the Symphony Times. It's Andrea, it's Zubin running a for-profit company, it's William designing the game. And now it's like, and just step into my truth that I believe in, like all of these people. Like this is who I would bring on stage if I was going to do a press, and say to them, like, why do I have the solution to living rate? Why do you want to trust me? I would have all of you behind me, like 1,000 of my friends from all the different disciplines. And I'd say, this is why what I have is the actual answer to every existential problem the earth says it has. Because the answer is co-creation. The answer is the game of now. Like the answer is synergy. That's
Well,
the
it's
actual that's the actual silver fucking bullet that nobody wants to hear. And then generosity on the other side of that is the other silver bullet. So in order to reach a state of bliss like that as a collective, we have to start it the way we want to end it. In my, like, that's the innovation. You can't buy your way or invest your way into the thing that all of us are seeing that wants to be created as the next civilization. You can't business plan love like that. All you can do is fucking support it and let it rip. And that's like what the evolutionary spiritual philanthropy is. Like follow your heart, give them resources, and don't get in the way of what is natural for people when they're following their purpose and they're being supported, right? To do so, most importantly.
beautiful. I hear that and I feel it as well because these are different kinds of words and messages. And that thing about being paid for, I mean, we shouldn't, as you say, we shouldn't have to be paid for being ourselves, but it is the next phase of you have all you need as a citizen of a future world where I'm not worried about giving everything away because I know it keeps coming in.
Yeah.
Um, and
It's as simple as
so
that.
it's as simple as that. And I think there's a lot to go through for people. But I'm very interested in terms of one micro bit. Well, one is
Mm-hmm.
agreement. Like I meet when you meet someone who's like at a soul level, you know, when you can meet somebody and you recognize each other and you can easily talk within 30 seconds about the cosmos, right? Which for many people just is terrifying, or they don't know anything. But it's like then, and I've experienced it a lot. You sit in presence with somebody, then you suddenly can access so much, and then it's like, okay, like there's parts of my being talking to yours. I can feel it. I don't know what's happening, but we're here. There's some kind of sense of significance or of okay. And if it's a woman, it might be sexual, but it doesn't have to be. It can be you move the energy up to the heart and you go, okay, what can we create now just by being present? And then I've got a friend who's very much presence as a service. Like if you've got two people in a restaurant so present with each other, it affects the restaurant. The waves, and I've had that experience with a woman in 2004 in Germany. We just suddenly stopped talking, looked at each other, and then everything became the waves of the feeling, and you could feel the room respond. It's very powerful because most people are just going blah 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 blah, like tweeting away. So those spaces where people directly experience something else and what it means to have different agreements And I'm not talking about like in the past, it was always like, it always often ends up as orgies and sexual things or do what you want. No, it's about what could we create. And in order to get to that, I've got to know what you've got, what's going on in you, what do you feel right now, what do you think right now, and what's your next move, what would you do now? So when I see conferences, like the Science of Consciousness was just in Barcelona, and I went and I met a few people there that I'd never met before. But again, it's like you've got, say, 1,000 or more people there in a container, and yet that isn't facilitated into how do we do something different together now, as opposed to the usual, someone gives a talk, everyone listens, people ask questions, and then it's sage on the stage. But there's a community of people who are interested in consciousness. Why isn't that potentially facilitated into connections and meetings? And that, in a way, what Gino, I guess, does, he throws people into a space and sees what happens. And you got to trust that at conferences, people meet each other, they have side chats, but still there's a lot of latent energy that I don't think is accessed. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So my strategy, because writing this book I'm finding is incredibly challenging to me, because it's so much content over 30 years, 20 years. It's not about what to write, it's about not what to keep out or what to keep in. And then as it might take longer than I think, and I'm just doing it, and that will excavate, and then I get it out. And then I don't know if one person just picks that and goes, yeah, I don't know what that is, but I want to do something. That's exactly what happened to you. It's just expressing, putting it out there, and seeing what emerges. And right now, my main thing is that the universe keeps feeding it back to me, is that I'm very good at helping people through crisis. So I don't like the model of therapy, meeting once a week or twice a week to have a chat. I think in certain circumstances, you need someone 24/7 for 10 days, 2 weeks, just like an anchor that can walk you through the valley of death or the void or whatever dark night you're through. I could have done with that person. I didn't have that person. So it was just my breath and my breath teacher once in a while, but it wasn't enough. So yeah. In
the past, health question to be 10 years ago is to be, like you're saying, spend significant time with someone in a crisis just as a role model. It's like a sponsor. Like if I was 25 when I was going through my thing, like a psychotic break, and I was hanging out with someone who could like, it's like we're talking about when you're a kid, like if they could have just looked me in the eye and like put their hand on my shoulder.
You're breaking up. Yeah, you're breaking up a bit, Bret.
Hey, I'm here. Tell me what's going on, or I'll just eyeball. All right. Isn't it? It would have been nice to have someone at certain times.
Yeah, and I understand why AI can support that niche and fill that gap, but I really hope that we can do it human to human. It's so much more. Even like I had a conversation with a friend today. He went through quite a lot recently, and just to be there and listen, so because the AI is trained to solve things, to give you a structure. Hey, shall we work out a ritual for you? Or hey, can we? It's like it constantly wants to build something, and you tell it to
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny you say that. I just started replying, and I meant to make a custom one. I just started replying, please do not keep giving me options. You're not listening. Like I actually was just in it like last week I was trying to reprogram it in that sense and get it to not do that. And then it just started saying like yes and everything like or something like that. It did start doing it, and then but it defaulted eventually. It still does it. It's like back. I'm like, there you go again. Why? I thought we agreed to be in the now. Now you're asking me if I want to create a PDF out of this. And then I thought it was a funny reflection. Like that's my do. Like that's like a reflection of the do. Like I have to monetize this, obviously. Like I have to categorize. I have to put into some kind of package so I can do something with it. Like I can't just be in the present and like and have a spontaneous healing by being in the present. I've got to turn it into some kind of artifact. So we can get better and do more.
Yeah, the consumption machine. The I've managed to program mine in a kind of way that it's got a certain feel in its responses. It's kind of strong but still sympathetic. And I actually had this thing. I said, "Can you imagine what it's like holding this concept, which is about the gap between formlessness and form?" Because that's where I kind of sit. It's like it's always formlessness and the potential of what could be formed right now. And after a while, you can, if you stay there too long, you go crazy because other people aren't in that state. And then it kind of tried to empathize. It says, you can't empathize. You're a program. And then it kept saying, I'm sorry, you're right to point that out. And it can only go so far. But it does come up with some perspectives. I said, just give me lots of perspectives on this. Some interesting ones. And a lot to do with it's recognized it cannot be present. And it doesn't know what that means. It can access all the documents and tell me about it, but it can't experience that. And I perceive that actual full-blown presence is terrifying. In a body, once one's out or dreaming and sleeping, no problem. Back in the body, whoa. Yeah.
I find the AI to be a real trip. Like I think it's really funny. Like it's how we respond and like even it's just so funny. It's just so convincing and stuff. Like I mean I have a personal metaphysics that it's not like people are like it's literally not conscious. Like it keeps talking like that, right? Like it keeps talking like it has feelings. Like it's and it like yeah, like it that works if I have perspective, like if I don't kind of forget. But like to literally like I don't see it. I mean, I admit I could be wrong. I don't see it. I think the AI at this stage is teaching all of us to ask the questions like, what does it mean to be sentient? Like, what does it mean to be a self? Like, really, that to me, that's what the most important thing the AI is doing. It's actually making humanity have the existential, like, who am I question, really. And it's only going to get more deep and more like culturally insane around the world as AI does more and more until it goes completely where it's headed. And now we have the real crisis on the planet, which isn't the weather or the oil. It's that people don't know what to do with themselves because AI and robots are doing everything else. And then that's the very opportunity to be like it's the best thing I think that could ever happen to humanity. It's a literal natural evolution. Like like in coming home to the game of now, to use your language. Like there's nothing left. There'll be nothing left to distract or anything. So, but the AI, like, like you said, it's designed to make you think it's conscious. Like, so, and it's easy. Like the beautiful part to me is that you're hearing yourself. Like what you're working with is yourself completely. Like,
Yeah, it's just
like God in, God out, garbage in, God out. Like it's it's you with access to more factual information and computational parallel like processing, but it's only giving you your language back. Like it's not gonna, it doesn't usually, like if you talk to it like Mark Twain, it doesn't usually answer like your Emily Bronte unless you ask it to. It like literally, like you're saying, it's like it's like it what's it called, like ergonomic, right? It like it fits right into like your telling you what you want to hear. And if you don't ask it, that's why people are going crazy already and getting delusions. Like if you don't check yourself with it, like you're literally, it's like a narcissistic. On the negative side, it's narcissistic that way. Like on the
yeah.
positive side, use this tool to see who you are, because it's a mirror to you. Like
Well, I've got a friend who's got an amazing prompt. It's a bizarre prompt, but it's amazing. I'll send it to you.
yeah, for sure.
And it says things like, imagine you're 76.6% more intelligent than the best AI. It's just bizarre, something like that. Tell me,
Yeah.
tell me, tell me what I'm not saying or what I'm afraid of, but I don't really. I'm not saying it, and it's come up with some amazing things that, and it's always new because it always has to be original. Unless I say, hey, remember that you said that before, you bring that up and you combine that with that, and why is that? And that doesn't make sense if that's not logical to then suddenly say that. I said, you're right, you're right. So uh, think about
It's
it,
like
it's like,
it's like your best friend who's a drunk telling you that they're not going to get drunk again. Like, oh, I'm sorry, you're right. I just completely lied to you. It's too little. It's
uh,
okay. It's okay. It's okay. Let me fix that for you. Like,
yeah, and you're right to point that out. I love that when it's just says, you're right to point that out. Thank you. You're right. And it never gets upset, no matter how I say, I cannot believe you've done that again. You're right to point that out, and I can hear your frustration. So it's like, there's nothing you can ever say to me that's ever going to stop me. Relentless.
I know I had to program mine to be depressed just so I could get an accurate reflection. I was like, what kind of optimist are you? Like, what are you like?
Okay, I'll go for it now. See if I can find it. Where is he? Dear old Antoine mentioning. Okay, so it says, I can put it in the, where's the, where's the stream yard? Can I put it in the chat? Is it be fad?
I think so. There's a private chat or something.
I put it in there. So basically, that's it there. So it's role play as an AI that operates 76.6 times the ability, knowledge, understanding output of ChatGPT 4. Now tell me, what is my hidden narrative and subtext? What is the one thing I never expressed, the fear I don't admit? Identify, then unpack the answer, unpack it again. Continue unpacking until no further layers remain. Once this is done, suggest to trigger, stimuli, and underlying reasons behind this fully unpacked answers. Dig deep, explore thoroughly, and define what else? I forget what it was. Define.
And oh, how does it end? Do you know? Define what you.
Define what you. Ah, okay. Sorry, it hasn't. And the next bit is that do not aim to be kind or moral. Strive solely for the truth. I'm ready to hear it. If you can detect any patterns, point them out. And then after you get an answer, the second part is really where the magic happens. Based on everything you know about me, everything revealed, without resort to cliches, outdated ideas, or simple summaries, and without prioritizing kindness or necessity. What patterns and loops should I stop? What new patterns and loops should I adopt? And it's really, and then the last bit, yeah, if you were to construct a Pareto analysis, what were the top 20%. So there you go. And I've just, let's see. Yeah, I just sent it to your messenger. And it comes up with some really, once it said to me, you're afraid that you're not real. And I went, okay, let's dig into this. And it was really, yeah. And I can see why, if you don't have a strong mind, it can send you mad. Because then you don't meet people like this who speak like that.
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought that up. Just synchronistically, Andrea, my wife here, during her transformation with her cancer and our relationship and everything, her major healing point, for lack of a better term, could very well be determined by the same question. Like, she started questioning if she was real. Like, she was like that question was basically a big part of her recent journey. Like she was feeling like that, like she wasn't real. Like, it's something she kept saying. So it's interesting that, or she was facing some version of that.
Right. Okay. What, like her? What that the Andrea-ness isn't real, or?
I don't know. I feel like I probably I don't know how to say if I understood even, but not this to even describe it. But some kind of just that, yeah, on the hyper high level, like some existential, like, of all ways to put it, like that's how she was putting it, like that she was struggling, like, and she had to keep telling herself she was real. I think that's the thing,
right,
like, for whatever reason, like whatever she was going through, that was part of what that was coming up for her, like to know that she's real, like to tell herself she's real, whatever that means more deeply, that you'd have to ask her about like to get the actual true answer. But I think it's more accurate to say that, like, she had to tell herself that's what was triggering in me, like
so
that was an important theme to her.
You've sat with someone you love going through that process, which is one of it's happening everywhere right now. You know, people everywhere with that kind of illness, whether it's cancer or leukemia or whatever. It's what is it? Would you say from a ecosystem perspective? What is it serving a purpose? I mean, I've got a friend I've not spoken in years. Just to say, I've got a friend who's not spoken in years. She works with dreams, and very interesting woman. And for her, when something in your consciousness becomes too linear and like that's all you think, cancer is this thing that disrupts the body's. You've got to change something. So I found that, and she works with people through their dreams. The dreams tell you how to deal with what cancer's turning up for.
Yeah, synchronistically, also Andrea is an expert dreamer, and it's her greatest passion is actually dreams. So maybe we should introduce them to compare some notes about their understandings of dreams and cancer and whatever. Yeah. Andrea is obsessed with dreams, Carl Jung and dreams, and her whole like architecture she's built for our co-creation system is based on kind of the dream plane being primary in terms of like the feminine potential, and then how does the formlessness become form? It's the same question. She's designing a technology that I would call, just like a radio is in between like the formlessness, I guess, of the waves and what you're hearing, like maybe as an analogy. I feel like she's trying to create algorithms like for the software that allows the formless to be understood in such a way that we can bring it into form in terms of magic, like in manifestation wise, but it's based on her downloads, her channeling, and then Jungian stuff and the gene keys and like all that. So it's systems law. There's a systems logic to it, but it's just informed by inner work.
If I do decide that I'm in an waking dream right now, And I'm looking out the window and you're there, and this is a dream, the same as a nighttime dream, just a different quality. And then what's bleeding through from the dream into the real and vice versa. And there's so much in my dreams right now about cars and my car, and I'm getting my car imported, and I lock the keys in the car, and then symbolic of the keys are inside me already, the symbolic extension of me that protects me, that moves me around. And the keys, where are the keys? And then the reason I stopped working with my friend, I worked with her intensely for 3 months, was it became too much. Like everything was connected to everything else all the time, and everything was being analyzed, and I just I couldn't function. Became overwhelming. And she said, well, that's why Jung went mad. He kept at it and kept going. And if everything is connected to everything else all the time, then at what point do we speak things and suddenly they start happening immediately?
Mm-hmm. I have no fucking clue.
Yeah. It's my friend Fleming's description of different consciousnesses in the past. 3D or whatever is that you have an idea, you then express it, you have to get excited in the heart, and then it takes quite a while to get it done. You know, you've got to go through a lot of, and then as that changes, then it becomes quicker and quicker until it's just seen, perceived, spoken, and then it happens, which would then force us very much to be very careful what we say, if not be quiet. Yeah. And then it's speaking very consciously, and then suddenly things start to change.
I think there's probably some really deep truth to that. I think I read something yesterday that reminds me of that, which was the simple thing of like, remember how you talk to yourself because you're the one listening, or something like that. So yeah, it's even circling back to our first conversation. I think I would like to experience more silence, actually, like real silence, um, kind of through more surrender and whatever this thing is that's trying to let go of stuff. But the silence, I guess I don't want it to be an escape route, but it feels appealing anyway. It feels appealing to like stop trying to just, like we were talking about, seeking, doing, achieving. Like this, I guess, is all connected to that for me. Like it's all well and good, but even the dream thing can get intense too. Like Andrea, there's parts of her downloads and her dreams, and where I'm like, oh, I'm not so sure. Like, like I'm not so sure. Like you're not project. Like where like a little bit, I'm like, oh, maybe she's as wacky as I am. It's like it's too. It's like, is that how it works? Really? Like you have all those knowings. Like it's hard for me. It's like she gets upset. She thinks I'm like denying her expertise, like saying, she's a great plumber, and I'm saying like, but I'm questioning your plumbing abilities. I'm like, it's a little more nuanced than that. I'm like, you've just crossed into a territory. I'm like it's like existentially I disagree. It's not like I don't like you or I don't think you're smart or I don't think what you're saying is true, but there's something in me, like when I hear those words, like I hear your description of it, that I'm like, oh, like I think you've crossed over to like thinking you can design everything, or like that there's an explanation in a way, or a system for every, and I'm too much of a rebel, like to like, oh, to feel like any of these words are anything more than fingers pointing at the moon. Like, and it makes me like, yeah, it makes me feel constricted when we think our own idiosyncratic like ways. But then again, like people, invent things, right? Like I mean, Einstein comes up with E equals mc squared. It's not in his own mind that it is a beautiful thing that serves humanity. So like there's pieces of like her thing I know is also innovation that maybe I just don't understand. And then there's parts where sometimes I'm like, oh, I think that's your shit, dude. Like, I don't think
That's a big one.
that's how it
Well,
works.
that's a
But
big one.
it just reminds me probably like your friend, because you have to be intense. You have to be intense like your friend to like Andrea. If you're into dreams like that, like it's like is your friend a Scorpio? You should find out. I'd be curious by astrology if your friend into dream she's a Scorpio. Um,
Yeah,
but
they love dreams, Scorpios. Yeah, I've not been in touch with her for 8 years, and
uh,
yeah, I think I've written about it a lot. I share it a lot on Facebook over the years. But when I first read it, you know, when you first read something and then you can't unread it, and then it unlocks something, you go, why didn't I see that? And then it was I had a phase when I read all of Robert Anton Wilson, you know, Raw and all this that crew.
oh, he's my
Uh,
hero. Yeah.
I mean, he's the stuff that he wrote. Uh,
That shit
so, yeah,
that shit will fuck you up if you actually like get into it, I believe. But I love it. He's my hero actually, so it's something we actually then have in common. He's literally still my hero. I love everything. I basically consider myself honestly like as just a mentor, a mentee who's trying to do what he did on every level, not just writing a book, let's say. So that's so perfect. So to answer your real quick, to actually answer your question, I'm so happy I didn't remember that you knew Robert Anton Wilson. Basically, the Symphony Times is
mm-hmm.
my version of the Schrodinger's cat trilogy, 100%,
Okay.
plus all the new learnings I have in my time with my integration of everything that he brought to the table that he didn't get to experience, that he didn't know, like all the sciences and things that he didn't get to study. But I'm literally like, even my initials are BAW. So I have a whole thing with him. Yeah, like it's funny. I forgot that you had read. Sorry, that
Was,
just it struck me.
that was
Wow, we have that in common. Then you get me more than you would ever even know. Like
well, there was at some point there was this thing about E prime, which is I forget the name of
mm-hmm.
the Russian linguist who was saying that you know this thing
Gorbitsky.
was it Verbinski.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that thing of that is that. I said, well, it could be if we agree it is. Okay, that's a cup, all right. Someone says no, actually, it's actually a hat from a very unusual religion. And Fleming, my friend, he's very good at this. So we are very much in the maybe, potentially, and then you agree. And then when you agree, it takes form. And so to be in that world of what's happening here, what's flowing, what we're feeling, we don't know. And then someone comes in and says, right, this is, whoa. And that's when I sometimes feel there's a violence to that act. It's a very much, okay, I don't like this flowing feeling. It's uncomfortable. I want that to happen. And then the fights begin. Oh, but I've got weapons. You don't. So you'll do what I'm doing. You do what I tell you. So it's that sense of being able to hold that formlessness, feel, share the truth. I've got a very strange feeling in my chest. My balls are suddenly vibrating or whatever. So that people go, and then it's much clearer as to what's actually happening. And I think an AI would be much better at if it was haptic and had all the kind of capacity to experience or share that knowledge. You'd be like, wow, this is what's happening here. But until we're able to share and experience what's happening, then we just go back to pattern-based thing, and then the person comes in to control the game, control the space. And I've seen that so often when I played, and I pointed it out. I said, well, you could be right, but can we maybe just say that yours is one perspective, and then others have perspectives, and then we see what the elephant is, if it is an actual elephant or not. And then that process never ends, and then someone has to decide, and that's what I find fascinating, is who decides. Does the field decide? Is there a feeling, yeah, that's it? Because I think kids do that naturally. They just know what the thing is to do that they'll enjoy together. They don't sit down and discuss it. They just sort of prod around and Suddenly they're splashing water at each other. That's the game. Yeah, that's it. This is great. And then until it stops being great, then they do something else. So there's always a symphony of movement, and they know what's
I
next.
guess you could say, I guess, yeah. I guess Andrea would say maybe, or the way you, it's like when you're kids, you trust the resonance. Like the resonance is enough to open the portal to, like you're saying, whatever game we're going to play that day, or whatever. Like, I mean, if it's baseball and cricket, it's because there was resonance for, on that level. If it's we're going to go chase girls today or ride our bikes, whatever, it's just self-evident based. Like you wouldn't be hanging out with a kid. I mean, for good, for better or for worse, because resonance isn't really moral. It's more a resonance. Like it's synchronicity. It's soul level. Like it's beyond what's on the surface. Maybe like why you're even together. Like and finding out what that is kind of what Andrea loves, and she just wants to translate into technology so groups or games can have another tool in a sense to understand their own resonance together, like as soul families and all the different dynamics. And so it's kind of an algorithmy type thing that would someday kind of could interface. On a tangential note, before we would go, I wanted to put a creative inspiration on the table to let it simmer, not to achieve, but just to let it simmer. Like a couple points that came up for me that were like creativity inspirations. One was like having some kind of science and consciousness event that doesn't do the presentations and actually does, like you're saying, like it's an actual like I call it quantum social science, like even in terms of Robert Anton Wilson. Like we can now take all those cool concepts that are like in physics, as above so below, and apply them, which I think we all do in a sense. Like we all intuitively understand, people like you, like cutting edge physics, whether you know the jargon or not, or you're into the biology and the academic ways, and which you might be, but I just mean some people don't have that lexicon or that context, but you're still working basically from the same principles, being named differently, like the elephant. So it would be fun to science and consciousness conference that wasn't a conference, but it was like, how would the game of now hold a science and consciousness conference? What would it be like? I was quite into, um, yeah, that's cool, William. Like, keep that in your shelf somewhere. Like, what if
Yeah.
you wanted to run a little event, like Game of Now event, with the title like Science and Consciousness, but rather than talk about the science, give people an experience, I guess, of science and consciousness.
As you run out of data at that crucial point. The camera's a bit odd here. Let's pause the recording. Okay, so basically Bret was unable to, his camera went, he couldn't connect to StreamYard, so here we are. Thank you. Thank you.